Can we call the next speaker, please? Dr. Praveen Salunke, Complications of Lumbar Spine Procedures, Management and Avoidance. Dr. Praveen Salunke. Call Dr. Binod Singhania,
Yeah,
Complications in Spinal Surgery, My Experience and Literature Review.
yeah,
Hi, Vinod. Vinod,
yeah.
nice to see
Hi,
you.
Gurnia.
And
I'm
like
here.
likes to hear. Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, I am here. So, are you seeing my slide?
Yes, we can see you.
Yes.
See your slides. Yeah.
Okay. So, good morning to everybody. Now, today I am going to discuss few of my cases of spine with complication. It's my own experience and a bit of the literature review. So if we are going through the list, there is a long list of the complications starting from the pain to serious one, may needs redo surgery. And hardware fractures and implant migrations are well known. Similarly, the neural tissues injuries. I personally feel transitional syndrome and pseudoarthrosis are not the complication, it's rather a sequelae of the surgery. So starting with my first case, it was a esophageal injury and very few reported cases in the literature. This is my institutional experience rather in the Sion hospital I had seen. And she was my own aunt. That time she was 50 years old with osteoporosis. She had a neck pain and a household servant has given massage and shook her neck vigorously. Immediately, she developed a neck and pain as well as arm pain, and an X-ray of her neck was showing a complete collapse of the C5 with a kyphotic deformity. A MRI was showing a neural compression, and she was investigated for myeloma, but it came negative. So seen by the local orthopedics doctor, and he thought it's a tuberculosis, so he started anti-tuberculous medicine and put her on 24 hours tractions on bed for 2 months and then started Somaya breast. I had seen her and I advised you, why not you are coming to our place. So she came and we did the C5 corpectomy and put a iliac crest graft. On the evening of the surgery, we found that she had some dyspnea and mild cyanosis and detected a surgical emphysema in the neck. Immediately, a drain was removed and the trapped air came out and the emphysema subsided. Similarly, the respiratory distress. Next day, a mucoid discharge started coming from the drain side. Suspecting an esophageal injury, we did a Conray swallow, which was confirmed by a leaking dye. So we planned a conservative treatment, put a Ryle's tube for feeding and antibiotics for preventing infection and mediastinitis. After 3 weeks, a repeat swallow scan was showing a very minimal leak dye, especially on the dependent position. And after 6 weeks, it was completely healed. So we started thinking what could be the injury. So it may be due to the retractor blade, or sometimes when we are using the monopolar cautery, then while separating the longus colli muscle, or when you are cutting the disc with the knife. I had gone through the literature and I found very less reported cases. One case was with a retractor blade injury, and 2 cases were reported for the slip discharge graft that lead to the necrosis of the esophagus, and one delayed perforation due to the cervical plate. So this is her post-operative MRI, which is showing a graft but a bit kyphotic deformity. And this is the Conray swallow, which is showing a prevertebral leak of the dye. Now my second case, a 55 years old male with walking problems since some time. He was working in an industry, so one day he had an electric shock and he had a fall and quadriparesis. He came with me with an MRI, which was showing a multi-level cord compression and a OPLL. You can see how bad the canal is, and the axial cut is showing hardly any cord tissue left. So that time I was quite young, enthusiastic. I planned for a 3-level median corpectomy. I operated, and post-operative he was neurologically deteriorated. So I did a repeat MRI that was showing a lateral recess narrowing. So I thought I should go and clear the lateral gutter. I did it. Further, he has been deteriorated in his power. So he remained in the hospital for a month. Physiotherapy was going on, but his power has marginally improved, but not to the extent of standing and walking. Once the patient has been discharged from the hospital, a complaint letter has been sent by his corporate hospital to the hospital authority, and I have to justify my surgery and further line of treatment. I lost his follow up. Also, I changed my working hospital. So, one fine day, a person with limping gait and a MRI in his hand has walked inside my room, and I realized he's the same person. This is his post operative MRI, which is showing a fused graft and a well decompressed cord, but it's like a thread and a myelopathic changes. So, again, I thought I should see the literature. So, see, there are a lot of writers had written that with severe OPLL, if you are doing the anterior approach, the chances of neurological deficit is much, much higher. That's why it's better to go the cervical laminoplasty. Now, my third case is a male presented with a large fluctuating swelling in an operated lumbar spine. He had a fall 3 months back, followed by back pain and radiculopathy. His MRI was showing a L45P-IVD, but he was operated for 3-level laminectomy and discectomy. I don't know why so much extensive surgery was done by a surgeon. He came to me and I found it was a CSF collection. And this is his MRI, which is showing a giant pseudomeningocele, which is communicating subcutaneously. So the literature, they are saying if it's more than 8 centimeter, it's a giant. If it's more than 5 centimeter, it's a large pseudomeningocele. And every author has an opinion that it heals or it subsides itself with time, but it takes 3 months to 3 years. So no need of surgery. But I planned for a surgery. I opened the wound, separated the muscle to open dural space. While separating muscle, I detected something foreign body. And this is the intraoperative picture. You can see a cottonoid was peeping out. It was adherent with the dura. So gradually I separated and removed whole of the cottonoid. Probably that there was a dural tear, so the surgeon has put it for sealing the dural tear. There was a very tiny dural tear which I repaired, and I scraped the pseudomeningocele wall and closed the wound. And this is the final MRI where the pseudomeningocele has been subsided and a healed scar. Another case, he's a 63 years old diabetic retired CID officer, came to me with a sudden onset of pain in his right leg for 10 days and walking problem. He has a lot of faith on me because I operated on his wife. His MRI was showing an extruded right-sided disc. I will show it. It's a right-sided extruded disc which has gone down in the lateral recess. And this is the axial cut. His X-ray was showing no instability. So I planned for the microlumbar discectomy on the right side. And I did it. And he has been extubated. And while transporting from OT to the recovery room, he had a fall from the trolley and he sustained a soft tissue injury on buttock and chest wall, but there was no major fracture. In ward, he was comfortable with painkillers and has been discharged. After a few days, he came back with the similar pain in the same leg. And as he has a fall, so we did a repeat MRI, which was showing a disc in the same area. And this is the axial cut. So we did a redo surgery for removing the disc, and it was done on the cost of the hospital because he had a fall. He has been discharged. Again, he had gone home, but again, he came back with a severe back pain and inability to stand and walk after a few days. His X-ray spine was showing complete settlement of a disc space and some changes in the end plate. His ESR and CRP was high, so suspecting a discitis, we did a MRI that was proved he has a discitis. So we started the antibiotics and repeated CRP, but it was gradually increasing. And this is his MRI. This is the second MRI, which is showing a fulminating infection in the disc space, soft tissues. This is the pre and paravertebral. This is a CT scan which is showing eroded end plates and the PET scan. But he has not improving in his symptoms. He had a rather food drop. So we planned for a surgery, did a debridement and fixation. With antibiotics, he gradually improved and his symptoms subsided. Now a bit of literature review. Almost all literatures are the old literatures. I picked up one literature of the 2010, which is a retrospective and prospective study. That time almost 700 papers were published on complication in spine. And they picked up 105 papers, 25 of cervical and 80 thoracolumbar, and out of 80,000 patients, 13,000 has a reported complication, and it was almost 16.4%. It was eye-opening. Maximum was in the thoracolumbar with 17.8%, and in prospective is 20.4%. Another paper with the same, the 2010, it was from the Thomas Jefferson's University. They have a much higher complication rate, 21.3%, as they were telling you it was an unbiased study. And overall, they had a 53.2% complication. The minor were 46.4%. So conclusion, complication is a part of surgeon's life. One should take a lesson and try to avoid it. Experience, count and mitigate complication. Operating surgeons should explain probable complication and have courage to accept and inform the patient. And at last, there is one quote from Albert Einstein: any intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. Thanking you.
Thank you very much, Vinod. Any questions? Any comments?
I think I want to make a comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations, Dr. Binod. Very
Yeah.
presentation. And as you have always been like that before. So you have shown very difficult situations. And it is not only difficult to handle, it is also difficult emotionally. How to speak to the patient, how to convince the patient, which we as surgeons, we do not address in these conferences. And I wish that more of this is discussed. And I hope it gets discussed in the next conference, which we are organizing in Mumbai. Thank you very much. Very well presented.
Okay, thank you, Varman. Thank you, Varman.
Thank you, Vinod. Any comments? Any questions?
Pragnesh,
Varman?
Pragnesh, we would want your comments, please. Just a short comment.
Pradnesh is not well, Varman. He's really ill, unwell, and that's why he's not speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Varman. I completely agree. In fact, I am very happy to contribute to the session you are planning because I have had a very traumatic complication and I have reflected on it. So coming over the setback on one own self, having a credibility with the colleagues also is an important factor after coming across a big major complication. So I think it is very important that we have a session, and I know Professor Tural has taken a big step in that direction. So I agree that complication management is a very big issue. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Pradnesh, for attending this. You are so unwell, but still you are managing to do that.